me. So let's go ahead and get started. What I'd like to do today is talk about the potential business need for CARES funding. And I think that John and not Marla, but Nancy are here with us from the EDC to talk about that a little bit today. So John, I'm going to turn it over to you and Nancy so you can maybe talk through any kind of data that you might have from the business community about what the needs might be going through these winter months. I think that we are expecting some assistance being needed, but we don't know what that looks like. So I'm going to turn it over to you guys to talk through any data that you've collected.
Go ahead, Nancy. You've been out on the street.
We have. You know, I think that the main thing that was the biggest takeaway for us this week was there was concern, you know, but rather desensitized a tiny bit about what's going to happen. So, you know, I know that Marla and John, and by the way, Marla sends her regards. She really wishes she could be on the call. But other than that, I mean, I did have feedback from one business as well that said, look, I'm not prepared to take on more debt. Not really understanding that a lot of these programs are grant programs and forgivable loans. So I think a lot of it is just educating the business community about, you know, exactly what these programs are and how they can help. John, did you have anything to add?
No, just from my conversations with some of the bankers is, you know, debt is a concern for them. Things are being managed now, but they're certainly concerned about businesses being able to continue to manage their debt. So I think what Nancy is saying is, I don't know that loan programs are going to help a lot through this time period because while the businesses had a good summer and they've had, you know, had a chance to build up some reserves, debt isn't going to solve the problem for them. So, and I think it's kind of early to make guesses. If we end up, you know, in a complete shutdown like we were before, businesses are going to need more help. I think my sense is right now the businesses that are most threatened are restaurants. Talking to some of the retailers, they've managed and they're concerned, but they just don't know. So I think we need to be prepared to be flexible and see what their demands are, and then be prepared to step in where those needs appear, because we don't see them plainly yet from anybody I've talked to.
So John and Nancy, would there be an anticipated need then for a grant program similar to what the city did in the spring to assist businesses going through the winter time?
That's my sense, is grants will be a lot more help with their survival than a loan would be. A loan may just complicate their survival.
And John, I appreciate your comment about, you know, it being a little early or whatnot. So I think I'm getting the sense that the kind of the request for the feedback is just have an earmark for allocating some of that funding and wait until, I guess, the EDC, you know, approaches the board to kind of pull the trigger on putting out that program.
Yeah, I mean, that's my sense. In talking with Marla and Nancy, I mean, we couldn't even name an amount today of, you know, an anticipated need. But I think what we would have to make sure it blends with what the city did last time. I think between what the commissioners and the EDC did and the county did, we helped a lot of our businesses make it through to the summer where they could make money. And so I think that program probably, down the road, we can maybe get some data and see from businesses, did it really make a difference, or how close were you? We haven't gotten that kind of information yet, but I think we just need to be prepared to step in once things start to unfold, because it's so hard to tell, even with Ski Cooper, what to anticipate there with them pulling back on children or childcare and their children's ski program. Don't really have an idea how that's going to affect, folks coming up from Denver. I think the other thing is, we saw this summer that the county was full, but a lot of those people were camping. And so we're gonna lose that aspect somewhat this summer. So I think it's gonna make the winter tougher, because we're not gonna have all those people that were backpacking and car camping and using the campgrounds to pick up the slack that we had this summer.
Yeah, I want to just add one more thing. John, thank you so much, because you reminded me that I found it interesting, and I'm sure everybody knows this, but I didn't realize for October, I heard a couple of businesses say that they had a really record month. But something that Marla and I did talk about, and something, and like I said, and like John said, it'll be dependent upon the shutdown implications. But and I wasn't around during the first go around of COVID here, specifically in Lake County. I do know that in BV, where I live, was issues around food delivery. And I do know that, maybe, I don't know how that CARES Act, we were talking, allocating some money to try and help subsidize, kind of bolstering up that area. I don't know if the restaurants have got together and talked about that, but, other than that specifically, it's hard to kind of share, a loan program or a grant program when they've had such a record October and a record summer. I think that maybe we're not quite prepared of how November and December are going to go quite yet.
Nancy, are you saying that what about food delivery? Sorry, I'm a little about food delivery.
Just specific to the restaurant industry for food delivery, just because, for to-go orders and accommodating that to try and, if there is a shutdown, how that would work.
Yeah. So the actual delivery and that operating method was challenging, and how can we have they provided any feedback on how we can assist there?
Not at this point. This were just ideas that we were talking about.
Yeah. And I do have, we did arrange a meeting with business owners this afternoon, so we can solicit some more of that feedback, or at least, reiterate the need for that feedback there specifically. I know that too, there's a marketplace online that the Carrie Malazzi, I think through the tourism panel and chamber, maybe EDC as well. Forgive me, I think there's 3 entities. They're kind of revisiting that online marketplace, similar to the campaign that they did early on, but more of I guess it's through the holiday season. But my understanding is that it's not intended to be something in perpetuity, because those volunteers don't have the bandwidth and the capacity to manage that and administer that in perpetuity. So that might be another thing that we try to figure out, if we can, plug in and lend support so that could live on longer, have a longer lifespan there.
Great.
Yeah, the EDC is participating in that as well, like we did the first in the same manner. And so I've not heard yet how the results of that are going for businesses, whether it's started to make a difference now that the tourists are gone, and whether or not locals have started to step up their shopping.
Yeah, and I will say too, the conversation with the tourism panel this morning, they seem to be wanting to pivot to kind of that local community messaging and marketing, not solely focusing on that, but and I don't know that pivot is going to happen, soon enough in the next month or two, but moving forward through 2021, it sounds like they have some ideas for some exciting supportive programs to develop. And I will also say, Chris put in the chat the special session, Governor Polis, she's supposed to focus on a 220 million stimulus package that is aimed at helping restaurants, tenants and landlords. So I actually was going to ask Commissioner Marcella if I had trouble getting on at the start of the press release. So I am not sure how the governor addressed that specifically. I may have missed that portion.
There wasn't very many specifics, I don't believe, in the
Okay.
actual press release, just that they're convening a special session to work through that. So there's not any specifics at this point. Here's
Okay.
my concern is we got an email this morning about, hey, if you don't tell us how you're going to spend this CARES Act money, whether through economic stimulus with the business community or what that looks like, they're going to take it from us. We have to respond to them by November 23rd. So
I thought that.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Kayla. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, the email today said that if we don't, let me read it to you here. Sorry, you guys. No later than Monday, 11/23, we need to send the plan to spend our entire allocation by December 30th. All recipients with a balance remaining are required to respond to this communication no later than Monday. Failure to respond by Monday, May 23rd may result in the de-obligation of your allocation back to DOLA to be used by other recipients.
So how much do we have left, Kayla, that we need to allocate?
Go ahead, Sarah.
I was just going to say, I think, we kind of got a heads up from the JVC on that too. And I think that we can clearly lay out a plan. If it's asking for a plan, I think our plan can be, we're going to earmark X amount for a thoughtful disbursement in conjunction with the state's stimulus over, but I don't know, I was going to say the end of November, but that's coming up here soon in a couple of weeks, by mid-December, I would think.
Do we have an idea how much we have left, Kayla or Sarah?
We have, yep. Let me pull up the worksheet.
Yeah, can you pull that up and share it on your screen, Sarah?
Yeah.
Because there's an additional request today as well for additional programming through the school district for out of school time.
In addition to what we allocated yesterday?
Yeah.
And while she's looking for that, Kayla, have we allocated anything for the Southern broadband repeaters that need to be installed? Is that coming out of the CARES Act, and is that already budgeted?
I have $32,000, it looks like, potentially for that. Is that correct, Sarah?
Oh, I see it. There they are.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yes, it's right there. Thanks. Muted. So this is a combination of higher priorities and already allocated funds. And so this darker green totals 505,000, 506,000, 6,000. theoretically with 61,000 remaining. But, you know, some of those, like this item, we don't really know if that's an accurate number. I think this is high. You know, we've got 15 in there for business support. I think that was more along the lines of hardware, and not including any bigger grant program necessarily.
Okay.
So if we change.
My personal opinion is we can take out the SO and jail transports because they're pretty under budget at this point anyway. And if we wanted to reallocate that to potentially giving that to the EDC, I'd be okay with that. The green stuff, the dark green stuff is the stuff that we have as a potential go, right, Sarah?
Yes. This
Okay.
is, so if we highlight, let's see, we've already done this. We've done this. I think we've that. So those all are actually allocated, I believe. I don't think we've seen an invoice or more specifics on the broadband expansion, but it's in here. You know, that could be nothing right now. So with removing some of those numbers on the ones that are more in question, we've got a remainder of about $100,000.
Sarah, this is Amber. The total on the backpacks and mobile cleaners is higher than that with the product and the shipping. I sent Commissioner Marcella that invoice. I can send it to you, but you'll want to adjust that number.
Okay, great.
That was closer to 10,000.
Correct.
Okay.
And then we have $14,000 approximately for PIO stuff, and then $15,000 for the caseworker through Human Services for the additional public assistance caseworker.
How much for the caseworker? 15?
How confident do you feel on the $8,000 for PPE for businesses through March? Is that a pretty solid number?
Let's see here. I feel confident that the supply that we have right now should last us through March.
Okay.
We've got quite a bit of stuff left.
Okay.
How much of the hand sanitizer do we have in inventory? Amber, do you know?
I think we have that entire second pallet that we ordered, the second order that we did in like September or October. We haven't gotten into that yet.
Okay.
And the
And
masks, we still have about a couple thousand of masks. Actually, probably more than that of masks.
Yeah.
Sorry, Sarah, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I just wondered if that what is, I think 8,000 was a guess. So is that, can you give me a more accurate number on that also, Amber, perhaps? And I think a pallet was what, like $4,600 around of masks?
I don't know off the top of my head, Sarah, but I can resend you those invoices.
Okay, I can search for them too. But if we have the inventory, I'm guessing maybe we might just want to place another order of masks or masks and hand sanitizer, so that we're sure that we have that into 2021. And then we can get a concrete number there. But with some of those adjustments, it looks like 111 might be our remainder.
Okay,
The amount on the reimbursement request to the state for the PPE that we had ordered, one order was $6,900 for sanitizer. That was the original bulk order of sanitizer, and then the second order of sanitizer and masks was $7,400.
I would think that well, this also includes a second allocation to the unmet needs for negotiations of future rent payments. If we do not do that, that number is cut in half. But I would think that we can communicate this draft budget and allocate or look at, $100,000 potentially here between as business support, potential business support, and developing programming.
so would we need to develop a more concrete plan as to how that 100,000 would go in grants and business support, or is that enough? How detail oriented do they want us to be?
I think for our purposes, we just have to have a dollar amount of what we're planning to give potentially to the EDC to allocate on our behalf to the business community, right, Sarah? Is that how you understand that, Sarah?
It is, yeah. I don't think, I think we just need a plan for it. The state does not have the capacity to go through, any kind of detail.
Okay,
But again, something needs to be set up. Like you said, John, understanding what December actually brings. And for that, we can make that allocation by the end of December. And ideally, the EDC would be able to award those by the end of December as well, I think.
so we can't, this isn't funding we can hold off into January, February, March. The businesses would have to have it in their hands by the end of December?
In theory, yes.
Okay. So we'll really have to spend some time in December talking and working with businesses and coming up with some projections for the first quarter of the year and seeing which ones are going to need help and how much.
I think so.
Yeah. And I think that we can at least submit this to Christy, if you're comfortable with that, Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
And then John, we can figure out how to get that funding over to the EDC. I would anticipate businesses being able to use that funding and wouldn't anticipate it being any lower than that $100,000, would you?
I certainly wouldn't. A lot of it will depend on, how much the city also does. And I think, we'll also want to coordinate with what the city's doing so that, any businesses outside the city limits don't lose out, because we've got two entities funding in city limit businesses. And so we want to make sure that we prioritize county business. If the city's doing something, we prioritize county businesses and then supplement what the city's doing.
I do also just want to remind Commissioner Marcella that there have been, we've seen information and started questioning the need for perhaps a rapid test center. So I just want to throw that out there. I think there's conversation to be had around, combating the increase outside business impact as well. And I don't know if the $19,000 anticipated remaining might cover that or not, but I just wanted to.
I think it might, Sarah. I have not heard back from Commissioner Lawrence in Summit County about the cost of what that costs Summit County to set up through CDPHE.
Okay. I know those rapid tests were fairly expensive. I'm not sure if that has changed as the months and development has gone on. But it's something for us to just verify and be sure that if we want to participate in that or take some action there, we'll need to allocate some funds.
Well, and I think if we can, according to her, if we can show this budget to DOLA of, hey, this is already all spent, we can apply for supplemental funding to say, okay, hey, we have this $19,000 left and we want to apply for, I don't know, $20,000 more and set up a drive-through testing for 10 days or whatever. Mm-hmm. It sounded like there was funding available to do that, but I'm still waiting on correspondence from her about that and about the cost of that drive-through testing that Summit County had set up. So she made it sound like it was fairly reasonable since it was put together through Summit County government and CDPHE. So I don't exactly know, but once I have more information on that, I can share it.
Okay. Yeah. And maybe that's, maybe there's more going to public health and DHS as well that could combine in that effort.
Yeah, I would think that rapid testing could be really valuable for all our essential workers, school district, having the capacity for that rapid testing could really help our businesses stay open safely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we need to have that conversation for sure. Okay.
Nancy, do you have anything that you want to add to the conversation?
Hi, thank you. No, I think we've covered what Marla and I briefly discussed this morning. I wish we had more concrete information, but I think that we can come up with something meaningful that can help when they'll need it.
Yeah, we haven't gotten any results from our survey yet, have we, Nancy?
Not yet, not yet.
So that's another piece. Have you seen, Nancy, how many responses we've got?
We pushed that out again last week on Thursday, and I do know that we did get a handful more, so it's not very many. It's under 20, I believe, but that's where we're at with it. And Marla and I will be talking about that tomorrow in the office. So when we're going to cut it off.
Yeah, I think we're going to need to get the word out to people. If they want help, they need to let us know what they're maybe going to need so we can structure things accordingly. So maybe we can talk a little bit about messaging on that.
Absolutely, we can do that.
Okay. I see we have Lake County Build-A-Generation on here as well. Do we feel pretty comfortable with EDC conversation, Sarah, John, Nancy? Do we feel pretty comfortable for right now? Earmarking that $100,000 amount, and then we can work with Marla and the three of you, or the two of you, more closely in the next couple of weeks to determine what that's going to look like.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, cool. I feel pretty comfortable and pretty confident in that. And thank you for that feedback. We do appreciate it a lot.
And just to clarify, that still leaves the 32,000 for the broadband in the southern part of the county if they need it.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Okay.
And it sounded like after talking to Kelly Sweeney this morning briefly, Verizon can move forward with that. I don't know what it looks like for us to move forward with that agreement with Verizon for that broadband. But it sounded like they found some reasonable locations to make that accessible, particularly to those mobile home parks, so that remote learning is accessible for students in those areas.
Great. I think that's really important and certainly one of the EDC's priorities.
Yeah, definitely. So I think, Sarah, what I'll do next is just communicate with Kelly to get us in touch with what those finalized plans look like for that broadband. And we can go from there. Does that sound appropriate to you? Okay, cool. I can definitely do that. Thanks, John and Nancy. You guys are welcome to stay on if you'd like.
Okay, I'll stay on for a while. Thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
definitely. Thanks, Nancy.
Thank you. So much.
Lake County Build-A-Generation, do you have any information about unmet needs committee and that type of thing, or do you have any additional asks and questions for us today? Well, I think you have a budget request specifically, right?
I did. I have, you and I had talked about me bringing a budget request for 2021. I can try to answer questions about unmet needs, but I may or may not know the answers to them.
Sarah, do you have any questions about unmet needs at this point?
No, I don't.
Okay. Katie, if you want to go ahead with your Build-A-Generation budget request for 2021, you are welcome to do so.
Okay. So I had approached Kayla and just asked what the process was, and she said, you know, when did I come to this meeting? So bringing a $25,000 request for next year, which is what we've asked for in the last couple of years. Just to give you guys some background or some context for that, as you all know, we spun off of the county this year, January 1st. So we're running a budget right now so our fund balance right now for the size of our budget is pretty small. Typically for a nonprofit of our size, you would have a larger fund balance. And we're just working to build that up. You know, we haven't, because we spun out and we didn't grow as a nonprofit, we haven't had as many years to build that. Next year, right now in my budget, I'm looking at about a $270,000 salary deficit, meaning those are, so if we did not do raises, we did not do COLA increases, we kept everything this, you know, all salaries the same. Right now in committed funds, I have about $270,000 less than I need for next year. We do have about, or will have about $300,000 in grants out. That won't totally cover that, but if all those came in, we would be closer. So it's a little bit of a balancing act. We don't want to apply for far more funding than we need, but we don't, you know, we apply and then we have to wait a couple of months, and we just don't know, and we also don't want to show up with a budget deficit. So that's sort of the larger context. We would use this funding right now, as you know, because I came yesterday. We have one of our grants out is for housing. So we would use this funding. If we did not get that housing grant, this would help us continue our housing project, hopefully until we could bring in additional funding. If we didn't need it for housing, if that grant came through, we would use it to support a project that comes out of the Health and Happiness. Right now, the top priorities that I'm seeing based on our meeting last week are housing, living wage, and childcare for 0 to 3. So we would use it to work on that. And if we didn't need funding to work on any of those things, if we were able to bring it up from another source, then we would put it toward our fund balance. That benefits you all because right now you're helping us a little bit with our fund balance by making sure that we aren't waiting for a long time for payments from the state. And so the faster we can build up our fund balance, the faster you guys don't have to support us in that anymore. Just to kind of toot our own horn for a second, I guess, and say, you know, here's why I think Village Generation matters in the community. Just to use kind of the work that we've done in the pandemic as an example. Right now, we have 122 active vetted volunteers that we're coordinating. They're fulfilling 48 recurring opportunities in the community to support other nonprofits with pandemic-related needs, and then also assisting with one-off opportunities. So nonprofits contact us, and then we send those opportunities out once a week and fill them. We have also, as you know, been working with another group, you know, about 6 other organizations in the community to support community members through unmet needs. We've given out $463,884, helping 428 households, or almost 1,400 community members. And in particular, of late, we've really been working with the Colorado Eviction Defense Project to strengthen and sustain that initiative by negotiating. So far, 16 landlords have worked with us to accept reduced payments for rent so that those funds can go a little bit further. I think the ask, you know, I went back and forth about how much to ask for, and I know I read in the paper that you all are really trying to, even though you brought in a little bit more money this year, you're anxious about next year because it's uncertain, which I can appreciate, and that you've asked other county departments to stay consistent. And so we really felt like, you know, I was a county employee for 10 years. Village Generation was in the county, and I think we always want to be respectful of what's happening with county employees and what's happening with county departments, and be thoughtful about that. So happy to answer any questions or say anything else if that's helpful.
So Katie, the request is for $25,000 additional to the 25 that we have an agreement with you on. Is that correct?
Nope. It's just 25. I wasn't sure if I needed to come back. So I'm just here asking again.
Okay.
So, yep. Not 50,000, just 25.
So it's just maintaining the agreement that we already have with you?
I don't think that's in our existing MOU, Sarah, but I can go back and look.
Okay, maybe I'm confusing the providing that cash advancement.
Yep.
For, okay.
Yeah, I think that MOU does not allocate funding to us on an ongoing basis, and the agreement is just that I would come in and make an ask. And at some point, we really do hope not to come and ask. This is we're just in a particularly vulnerable position this year for all kinds of reasons.
Understood, Katie. And thank you for doing that and coming to us. I think if you could send us a one-pager on what you kind of talked through, that would be really helpful. And I think I recall, similar to what Sarah is recalling, I was under the impression that that was built into our budget already. Okay. So I'll circle back with Crystal and find out if that's in there or not, just to make sure. Great. Before we take any formal action. And I think it would be helpful for Commissioner Glenn to take a look at that as well. if you could send that to us.
I also, and I wish we weren't in this position, but I do have to mention and toe the line on, requests that have come into the finance department, and we have denied them, saying that we've reached out to those entities that we anticipate allocating for. So I just want to recognize that this does not seem consistent with our process and other requests that have come in for the board.
All right. Katie, do you have anything else to add for us today?
No, just I think to say thank you to you all. I know you all have been really supportive and really worked in recognition of the fact that we're a unique case since we did spin off from you all, and that we have a mutual interest in taking care of those employees through this transition and really making sure that everybody's okay. And I appreciate that work that we're all doing just to try to make that transition, work and keep those employees safe. So I appreciate that.
Thanks, Katie. I'll send an email to you and copy Crystal and just check to see what we've got, and then we can follow up after that. But if you'll send us that one pager, that'd be great.
Okay, I will do that. Thank you all very much.
Thanks. All right. Commissioner Mudge, do you have anything else that you'd like to chat through today? Or Sarah or Paul, I noticed that you're on here as well, or Chris, I noticed you're on here as well. Do you all have anything that you'd like to chat about today in regards to budget going into 2021?
This is Chris, not for me.
I don't think I have anything right now, more on budget. I just, and if there isn't any other topics on budget, I might just request any other feedback on the time that we're going to take to reach out to the business community this afternoon. But it looks like Paul might have a comment on budget.
Actually, my comment is that I have no comment.
Thank you, Paul. Amber, do you have anything today?
I don't think so, Kayla, unless you or Sarah wanted to talk about any of those budget suggestions I sent you this weekend.
I do not at this point, Amber. I don't at this point. I don't. Sarah, do you have any questions or comments on that?
I'm sorry, taking me a minute to unmute. I don't right now. No, I wasn't quite prepared to address those. Sorry.
All right. Sounds good. I have Climax CPP today at 2, so I'm gonna hop onto that and prepare for that. And then I will give an update as that meeting closes, maybe next week in a work session or something. Sarah, I'll give you an update.
Great.
I think while you're on the line, what does your schedule look like next week, Sarah? Maybe we can plan just a couple brief work sessions to go through a few more of these topics.
Sure.
Before...
Sure. Let's see. I think Monday looks open afternoon.
Okay. So we're planning on a special meeting on Monday for sanitation liens.
Okay.
And Super. So let's do that at 1, from 1 to 2. And I will make sure to reach out to Angelina to get the sanitation lanes. She said she sent them to Patty yesterday, so I can ask Patty, or she said she had sent them to Patty a few weeks ago, and I can reach out to Patty and see if she has those that she can pass on to us, because I still don't have a copy.
I don't either. So Monday morning looks available. I guess Tuesday looks available for me. Wednesday afternoon, potentially.
Okay. Let's do, so Monday I've got a 10 o'clock with Paul. I have Tuesday morning pretty open, so maybe we can chunk out a big session Tuesday morning
Okay.
if you want, because we already have a work session at 1 o'clock too on Tuesday the 24th. So maybe we can do 2 sessions on Tuesday.
Okay.
Because Crystal should be out of her training for the software conversion then as well.
Sounds good. Do you want to plan that from 9 to noon?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
That'd be great. And I'll be sure to, will you send me a calendar invite, and then I'll be sure to put that on the planner next week as well. Cool. That'll work.
Great.
All right. Thank you. Thanks everybody for the conversation today. I really appreciate it, and appreciate everybody participating. Have a really wonderful rest of your day.
Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.